Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this morning's episode of Trending, brought to you in association with Iconic Coffee. If you head over to shop.iconic.com and use the code TRENDING, you get 10% off. I'm getting quicker at reading that. Rich, how are you, mate? You okay?
I'm good, thank you. Not too bad. I got the wrong cup this morning, but this is another show that you can partake on. The
There you
old
go.
iconic.com. Good. All good.
Good. I had a pigeon watch me shower this morning. We will get on with the stories in a minute, ladies and gentlemen. This is a true story. So my alarm went off at 5, as it always does. I sort of skulked off into the shower, sort of half asleep, and then I heard this noise, and I'm home alone at the minute, and I was thinking, what's going on? And I looked, and just there in the skylight, like looking through the window, was a pigeon, and it stayed for the entirety of the shower.
Pervert. It's a pigeon
I know.
perv.
Got a pervy pigeon in Derbyshire. Okay, talking of perverts, let's start. Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, and Donald Trump. Ghislaine Maxwell told Justice Department she never saw Trump do anything concerning with Epstein. Now, let's kind of put this into the context. It's not concerning for Ghislaine Maxwell, who's in prison for trafficking young girls to Jeffrey Epstein. So I'm not one to kind of take her word for it, because she's got pretty low standards of what's concerning. Ghislaine Maxwell said that she never saw Donald Trump do anything that would cause concern during her hour-long meeting with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche over the Jeffrey Epstein case. According to ABC News, the Trump administration is considering whether to release the transcripts from Blanche's meeting with her. ABC News reported CNN had first reported that the meeting was recorded and is being digitized. It's like we live in a reporting world, isn't it? What do you mean digitized? It's digital anyway. The White House has been trying to contain fallout from the so-called Epstein files for weeks after a Justice Department memo concluded there were no more significant disclosures to be made in the case. Of course, there is loads of them. She got interviewed and asked about 100 people. Imagine 100 people I can't even remember what I did like 2 days ago. 100 people that she's got to talk about, and then she thinks, no, I can't. I can remember exactly what 100 people did, and that Donald Trump didn't do anything. I didn't see anything concerning, although we were all doing weird, concerning things at the time. It's just nonsense, isn't it? Quite frankly, I'm not saying he did anything. I'm not saying that to the extreme lot of people are saying that he's an abuser or all of this lot. There's no evidence of that. Certainly was deeply connected with these people. And to say he didn't do anything concerning, well, we already have clips of him being around people saying things about water that is concerning.
When I saw this story, Rich, I added my breaking news bit to it, because I find that sometimes, you see a news story and then you just break down what that news story is actually saying and then stick breaking news in front of it and then read it as one title, right? It just shows the ridiculousness of it. So with this, you go, right, breaking news. Okay, this is big, right? A woman who's in prison is refusing to implicate the one person that can get her out of prison.
I know.
That's not a breaking news story. That's obvious. He, as the president of the United States, can pardon her, which he may well do. I feel like we're being set up for that, right? Of course she's not going to say anything bad about him. Why would you do that? Because then what? She ends up in a cell next to him. Are you going to pardon me? Well, I can't now.
You did this.
Because you grasped me up.
We 5D chessed ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. But what I find funny about it is he's gone back. I saw this morning. He's gone back to calling it a hoax again, hasn't he? Trump.
Yes.
So it was, we're going to release the Epstein files. We're going to release them. Here's some ring binders for some influencers to dance around with. I don't know what that was all about. It's quite weird. That's all right. They're on Pam Bondi's desk. Oh, no, they don't exist. Oh, no, they're a hoax. And then, then it was Clinton was in them. And then it's gone back to being a hoax again. I'm struggling to keep up, mate. But in terms of the pardoning her, he's sort of 5D chessed himself into that, because if it is a hoax, it's not. But if it is a hoax and we're going to go with that, then you can't leave her in prison, can you?
No, that's it, isn't it?
Because she's in prison for trafficking people to high-ranking people that don't exist because it's a hoax. Well, then you've got to pardon her, haven't you? So I do wonder whether that's what they're leading up to with all this stuff. And maybe when they've gone and met her, that's the conversation that won't be released. Is right. This is what we're going to do. This is the plan. And that plan of your release is reliant on you shutting your mouth when it comes to the Orange Goblin.
Yeah, the Orange Goblin is seen on the camera. Yeah, there'd be a minute missing from the footage somewhere. It's just ridiculous. It really is. Clearly, he was implicated in. I'm not saying in the abuse of young people. That's yet to be confirmed. But he's implicated in what they were doing. They're all mobsters. So to say that she's in prison for trafficking women to no one. So we're going to have to let her out.
He's been accused of it, Rich. Trump's been accused and named by victims of Epstein. The Trump supporters, the MAGAs, they take their word as gospel for everyone apart from him.
I know. It's the same as Hamas. Hamas are right when and telling you the truth when it's appropriate and suitable. As Jay said yesterday, to your own story. It depends on what's going on, as I think we said in WhatsApp yesterday as well. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. So it's pick and choose. They've tied themselves up. Oh, what a tangled web they weave. And now she's been put in a luxury prison. It's basically Butlins for criminals, which is Butlins actually. And the fact is that's where she is.
I went to Butlins last year. Never again, mate.
No, exactly. I've been there when I was a kid as well. It's changed a lot since then. But yeah, exactly. So she's in Butlins now, hanging about in a much cushier prison, and obviously she's going to come out. I mean, they're going to probably, maybe let Diddy out as well. They might as well just skip out together, holding hands, straight to another island. Yeah, because
I mean, she's been using her heritage, daughter of a Mossad agent. She's been using her heritage in prison, hasn't she, for prison favors as well. That's been reported this week. That basically the fact that she's Jewish has been used to get her better food and to get her off work early. She's like clocking off what she's doing, but so that's interesting. So you can use that link there to get you better, time in prison. But then when it comes to actually Epstein himself, no, it's nothing to do with, Israel and the Mossad connection and stuff. It's Russia, isn't it? Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Yeah. The fact that he died on Tisha B'Av, which is a day of mourning for those of the Messianic Jewish faith. No one ever mentions that. Everything's done by the order of the cult and the coding. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, what do you think she was going to say? She wants out of prison, of Butlins. Everybody wants to escape Butlins.
Everyone wants to escape Butlins, mate. I did. Oh, jeez. Right, Starmer. It's from one goblin to another. Starmer opens door to income tax rise. Do you want this as well? Do you want the shirt? It's Jay's anyway, so it's fine. Opens the door to income tax rise in autumn budget as pressure to fill £50 million black hole amounts. Keir Starmer has opened the door to increasing income tax. Of course he has. Speaking to broadcasters, the Prime Minister defended his record. How do you even bother doing that? How many own goals you scored? Yeah, but I'm trying. Defended his record and insisted Labour had stabilised the economy. Just because it's now sat on the floor, so it's not moving, that's not stabilised. That's just rock bottom, mate. He says something. Now, I'll come back to this in a second. This wording is interesting. He added that the budget would make people feel better off. Okay.
Oh, feel.
Exactly. Yeah. However, he was asked multiple times whether he would explicitly rule out raising taxes, VAT, all this kind of stuff, and he didn't, of course, because he's a politician. He knows he's going to raise them. But like you say, that feels better off. That's not the same as being better off, is it? And I think that wording's important, because otherwise you go, we are working in this budget. We are going to make British people better off. Okay, that sounds good. Make British people feel better off. We're gonna con the plebs. That's what we're gonna do. We're basically gonna hand them a £5 note that we stole from their wallet. So we've literally just I'll nick that. There you go. There's £5. Oh, I feel better off. Thanks. I'll just put that in my. Oh, yeah. Oh, exactly. The other thing is as well, when they say potentially opening the door to something, that means the door's already open, by the way. It's already planned. That's gonna happen. And we keep hearing about this black hole. How are we going to fill this black hole? Well, stop digging it. That'd be a start. Stop digging it. How much money are you giving to the little Action Man figurine in Ukraine? Stop doing that. How about stop doing that? That would be a start. How about all these migrant hotels that you stick in these illegal immigrants in? How about stop doing that? How about all the properties that you're taking over, your local councils are taking over in secret and then not replying to people, including myself, when emailed about exactly what you're planning to do with that? Because you're taking over derelict properties and you're turning them into flats to house migrants permanently, because it's all about a demographic change. How about stop doing that? How about stop doing things like spaffing money up the wall with net zero and destroying our industry, our steel industry, for one example? How about stop doing that, and then maybe this black hole might just miraculously disappear, Rich? I don't know. What do you think?
I think the biggest question is, who do you owe that 50 billion to? If you really think about it, they owe the 50 billion to you, to me. It's our money. The black hole is you spend our money. So people don't realise the government are in debt to the people, not the other way around. We're not in debt to anyone.
I want it back.
You spaffed it. I want it back as well. Exactly. You wouldn't have to wear your brother's shirt anymore. It's like, it's, you know, they owe us. That 50 billion is their concern. They owe us 50 billion. That black hole was our tax money, our revenue, our industry. They owe me and you 50 billion, not anyone else. They went and spent all the money, then borrowed it off the central banks.
Yeah.
So they owe us. They've pushed their debt back onto the person and the people that created the money for them to spend in the first place. This is the inversion of it all. They owe you 50 billion. They're in a black hole. We're not in a black hole.
Starmer would love to be in a black hole. They also, another part of this money that, you know, suddenly we don't have. Well, surely you could stop digging the hole by stop picking fights with people like Russia and now China in terms of war, because we've got this massive increase in military spending now as well. So sorry, everyone, we've got no money for public services or anything like that. We've got a few hotels and mobile phones for the Deliveroo drivers, but nothing for you, love. But we're going to have to spend all this money on the military because someone who can't punch a freaking punch bag is picking a fight with Russia and China. How about stop doing that?
Yeah. It's almost like they want everyone's skin, isn't it?
Well,
almost
exactly.
like that.
Desperate people are
exactly.
easy to control.
Was it yesterday we were talking about the savings tax? You're taxing people's savings. If you've never heard of an Indian caste system, there's one. You can't get above a certain amount because the more you earn, the more you the more you're taxed. It's just ridiculous to fill a $50 million or pound budget or hole that they've created with our money. This is the scam of it all. They owe me and you 50 billion. They don't owe anyone else 50 billion. That's the scam of it. And they want us to keep giving them money to spaff on the wall, up the wall to Ukraine, to Israel, to military aid to cause wars, to move all the chess pieces around. We're paying for our own demise. We don't owe 50 billion to anyone. They do. The government do.
It is ridiculous, isn't it?
Mm.
It is ridiculous.
Yep.
When you look at stuff, even like that, when you talk about a savings tax. So you earn money, you work your ass off, you earn money, you get paid that money by the employer. So the government's got no freaking involvement in any of this transaction. You're providing labour, they're providing payment for that labour. The government then take a chunk of that. They'll have that.
Yep.
So then, because you don't go and spend it, now if you spent it, you'd pay VAT on all the stuff you bought and all this kind of stuff, or if you bought a property, pay stamp duty and what have you. But if you decide, no, I'm not going to spend that money, I'm going to put it away. So you put it in the bank, and then they tax you on the savings that they've already taxed you on when you earned the money off of someone in which they had no involvement in.
And then when you pass that savings on to your children, they tax you that as well. Even if you buy a property and pass that on. I mean, this is disgusting. And it's an Indian caste system. It's exactly what it is. So it all needs to be torn up and start again. There's no point in existing within this framework because it's corrupt. It's never going to lead anywhere. It's set in stone. So
Yeah.
they owe 50 billion to us. And that's as soon as enough people get to understand that, then things will start to change. We don't owe anything to anyone. We've been rinsed already.
We are. I mean, these politicians, this is what the whole point of, oh, it'll be different if we vote for this guy or this woman, they'll change everything. And well, they won't, because the system is set up in a certain way for a reason. Doesn't matter which little actor you put on top of the pyramid, because one, they're not on top of the pyramid anyway. But
No.
when you actually break that down, they should be in a stripy jumper with a mask on, shouldn't they? Because they are literally robbing. It's extraordinary.
Yeah, it's a cartel. It's a crime cartel. They all are crooks. It's what you're joining when you walk through those pillars into the Masons and stuff like that. Secret societies, you're joining a criminal cartel dressed up as a religion or a faith or a belief system. It's not, is it? Come on,
well, that's what they
let's be
do.
honest.
And you swear your allegiance to it, whether you're swearing your allegiance to the king or whether you're kissing the wall a couple of thousand miles away. Just it's all nonsense.
Of course it is.
Right. So this story is again UK related, terrorism related, protest related. What's going on here then, Rich?
Everything's inverted, isn't it? As we just said, everything's inverted. Leading global scholars sign letter urging UK to end Palestine Action ban. And I know there's controversy about the funding of Palestine Action, and I acknowledge that. But to spray paint some planes does not make you a terrorist group. Come on. And how did they get in there again? Was it on hang gliders this time again? How did they get in there to spray paint these planes in an RAF base? You ever tried to get in one? I haven't, but I'm sure I couldn't get over the fence. Naomi Klein and Angela Davis are among dozens of international scholars and writers who have signed a letter to The Guardian. I don't know what that's going to do, calling on the UK government to reverse the ban on Palestine Action. The letter applauds what is described as a growing campaign of collective defiance against the ban and commends the hundreds of people who plan to risk arrest by declaring their support for Palestine Action during a mass protest in London. I mean, how can you get protested for support? This is the inversion. You're supporting people that are being killed in a different country by a terrorist group that they say is a terrorist group, and telling you at the same time you can't do that because you're supporting the terrorist group. The terrorist group by proxy is being funded by the actual terrorists, which is the IDF and these Zionist lunatics, and put in there as a proxy army as a reason to go in there and do terrorism in the first place. This is the tangled web that people just don't understand, is that's what chess is about, or chess is about even, is to get you from each corner. You can't move this way and you can't move that way. That's what they're trying to do. It's utter nonsense, obviously. These are not a terrorist group. They might be dodgy funding. They might be in there for the reason to do this. Who knows? And there probably is some validity to that in my conspiratory mind. But that's not a terrorist action, going spray paint some planes to stop people committing terrorism. No. This is where we are. We're too far down the line with this.
That's the point. I think it's very telling. We spoke about this during COVID, where you had the treatment by the police of and the government of people protesting against lockdowns and people protesting against mask mandates and eventually jab mandates and stuff for NHS workers. They were treated horrendously, attacked by yobs in fancy dress police outfits. Yet at the same time, the Black Lives Matter protests, the Stop the Oil protests, all these things were allowed to go on unchecked, not a problem. You had Zippy Starmer taking the knee and all this kind of stuff. So we were saying at the time, it's interesting, isn't it? The police response and the government response to protests that they want to stop, rather than protests that they're quite happy to elevate and allow to happen because it creates a division and there's another game at play. And that's telling with Palestine Action. So again, you had Black Lives Matter where they were torching shops and stuff down in London and all this stuff and looting and all this kind of stuff. No, they weren't considered a terrorist organization. You had Just Stop Oil blocking bridges, stopping ambulances getting into St Thomas's Hospital in London. You had them blocking public transport, stopping people getting to work and all this kind of stuff, blocking motorways, spray painting, chucking paint on paintings in art galleries. Not a terrorist organization. Yet Palestine Action spray paints some planes, terrorist. It's like, yeah, because it's Palestine Action. If it was Ukrainian action, not a problem. Wouldn't be a problem at all. In fact, Starmer would probably be on his knees with his welder's mask on supporting it. So that's the telling part of this for me. It's about stopping people protesting on behalf of Palestine, because they are desperately trying to control the narrative when it comes to what's going on there, and they are failing miserably, Rich. I thought this morning. I was scrolling through when I was in the gym, and I was like, Israel's done. Like, it's done. As a nation, it's finished. It doesn't recover from this. Even if the war ends today, not that it's a war, let's have it right, but even if they end the genocide today, there's no recovery from this, from what they've done for particularly the last 12 months. There's no recovery from it. So these people, by making this a terrorist organization, they are clambering, Rich. They are clambering to get hold of a narrative that is long gone, mate.
Yeah, and one thing I've noticed recently, which is really important to point out, I think, is this two-tier policing. And I've said this before on the show, there's a three-tier policing. What they've done is they've got the... Okay, to put it this way, City of London police are not a police force in essence. They are a protection racket for the government. Why do they have to have a separate police force? The Met Police and the City of London police. Why do you have to have separate ones? Because there's double standards. So you have two-tier policing there already in the capital of England. You have their police, which is really their security forces. And then you have the police for us. And within that police system, the Met Police, there is a breakaway there, and they police either side depending on the political view. So there's three tier. There's a protection racket, and then there's the policing of the plebs who can fight amongst each other all they like, as long as they don't turn around and have a look at what these guys are doing in the City of London. And that's the point. That is always going to be the point. Is that the break and the divide is not between us and our faiths and our religions and anything else, and even our political persuasion. It's not gender, nothing like that. It's between us and them. And that was the point, and that scared them so much with COVID. They had nowhere to hide because they were attacking everybody. They don't have the numbers. They never will have the numbers. So they are panicking. So they have to do ludicrous things like this and try and divide the country on this thing about, the Muslims are coming over here and attacking the British, and that they need that rhetoric. And that's why it annoys me so much, is because all it does is play into the hands of these lunatics that's stealing your tax money and saying you owe 50 billion of the money that they've spent of yours. They're laughing. It doesn't do any of us any good on the everyday working level, and the people you meet out at the shop, the people you meet at the hairdressers. All of us get along. The reason why we don't get along, mostly, obviously it's not blanket, but mostly get along, is because we're all desperately trying to get by. It's quite obvious. Your dad's been saying it for years. People like Jordan Maxwell have been saying it for years. Max Egan, all of these people that have been doing this for ages that don't get the coverage that they deserve. And then they get these new guys come along that have been in it 5 minutes because they're telling you the truth. You've been turned around and you're looking at each other, pointing the fingers when this criminal empire get on with it. And I know me and you won't stop to the day we're not here pointing it out in the right direction. This is what they're trying to distract you from with all of this stuff. The two-tier policing is not between us. Not really. It's three-tier if you want to go along that way. But what it is a divide. They have a protection racket and we don't.
Well, the difference between the Metropolitan Area Police and the City of London Police was exactly what allowed Jack the Ripper to get away with it. He knew what he was doing, running between the two, so that one could not follow him over that invisible line. It is mad. We got to a point where you can't say that you support Palestine Action. That's illegal. That's illegal to say I support Palestine Action. It is insane, isn't it? But I support Palestine, and I think that something needs to be done. Action needs to be taken about what's happening about the genocide. So I can sit here and say I support Palestine. Action must be taken. And no one can say anything about that. That's not illegal. Right, final story. It's from The Sun, which I'm not a fan of. It's Rupert Murdoch, and they are scumbags, but the story was important. Always with The Sun, you've got to have a pun in the headline. Mm-hmm. They love it, don't they? Mark your man. So, it's a football sort of reference. Mark your man. Football hooligans to be sprayed with invisible DNA tagging mist so cops can find yobs even months later. Football hooligans will be marked with a DNA tagging spray, which will stick to the unruly yobs for months, helping cops. Why are they cops now in England? That's an American term. They're police. Helping the police to combat antisocial behaviour at games. The cutting-edge spray can remain present for months on end, and with traces revealed under a shining UV light. Cheshire Constabulary, among other UK police forces, are rolling out the new technology in a bid to tackle rising reports of football fan disorder. So this mist sticks to the skin, basically, and clothing. It's an invisible liquid, and they can use that, obviously, to catch people. I mean, it's one step short of microchipping a minute, to be fair. I'm looking at it.
It's what they do to Gaz, it's what they do to sheep. It's what they do to sheep. They spray
paint them. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've already got facial recognition, Rich, at all football matches now in the UK. Like the amount of times, like if a goal goes in or if you're, shouting at the ref very politely, "Oi, ref, that wasn't very good," and stuff like that. A lot of the time, if it gets a bit loud, you suddenly look and you've got like a fancy dress guy with high vis on, sticking a camera literally in your face, and you're like, so obviously they're using facial recognition anyway. But when I look at this, Rich, I think it's about normalizing things. So you normalize facial recognition, you normalize spraying people with a DNA tag, like an invisible paint thing, right? But to normalize it, you need to target people that no one really cares about first. So if you're saying, I'll tell you what I'll do, we're going to spray toddlers, then people might have something to say about it. But if you go football hooligans, well, no one's got skin in the game for football hooligans. No one feels sorry for football hooligans. So yeah, spray them then. That's not a problem. And so you normalize it because they're undesirable. People aren't going to speak out and support them. So then it becomes something. And then, as always happens, Rich, it expands to other things. So then suddenly it will go to the protest movement. So say people that are protesting against a genocide in Palestine, suddenly they're spray painted. Then the next time there's another pandemic, because there will be, because they wouldn't have passed the pandemic treaty unless they were planning one, suddenly we take to the streets again and suddenly we're spray painted. And it's all fine because it's become normalized because Fat Gary, the Millwall fan, punched a horse. So therefore, we didn't say anything when he got spray painted. And you go, I wonder if that's what they'll do with digital ID, Rich. That actually, instead of going, because at the moment they're trying to push digital ID and they're using the excuse of the mass immigration they facilitated and encouraged as a way of getting it through the door. But now I'm thinking, having read this story, I'm thinking, well, are they going to blanket it? Are they going to go, right, everyone needs to have digital ID so that we know who's who, and therefore, we know whether there's a dodgy Somalian guy opposite your primary school, your kid's primary school, whatever. Or whether they're going to go, let's start with the immigrants. Because there's already a backlash against mass immigration. So you go, well, okay, we're gonna introduce digital ID, but don't worry, don't protest, don't kick off. It's not about you. It's fine, it's not going to be you. It's just going to be the immigrants. And you go, oh, those illegal immigrants that are coming over on dinghies, yeah, go on then. Yeah, I want to know who they are. So then they get the digital ID first. It's divvied out amongst them. But there's a few getting through. There's a few attacks happening. And actually that attack that happened to that young girl in that town, that guy didn't have digital ID. That's why we didn't know. I don't want to have to do this, but I think everyone's got to have it. I'm sorry. Do you know what I mean? It's like you normalize it by giving it to people that no one cares about.
It goes even further than that. I think I brought this up a little while ago. Did you know that they can store DNA and data in spray paint? The Massive Attack released an album a few years back. It's in 2019, so imagine that technology has gone. Massive Attack stored DNA in a painting. So the album was stored in this painting. So what are they spraying on you? What are they tagging you with? Why do you need a chip in your body if they're spraying it on your skin? They say it doesn't do any harm. How do they know? This technology is apparently new. Have they been testing it on people unwittingly? From the skies, perhaps? for a very long time. Are they going to colour tag everyone? I would assume so. So if you go to your protest, you get an orange tag. If you go to your Gaza protest, oh, he's a red. Oh, he's a purple. Under the scanning light. How do we know these don't cause cancer? I'm assuming they probably do harm to the skin. They get absorbed in. It's the biggest organ in the body. It's the skin.
It's a
Exactly.
really good
Of
point,
course,
Rich.
of course, it's going to absorb into your body. It's the biggest organ, and the fact is that they can store data in spray paint. We know this. They've told us that. So they're going to tag you with your profile via paint. And how do you know you've been sprayed with this stuff? They're not going to come and spray it straight in your face, are they? They're going to come and do it. They could do it with fire hydrants down the street. They could do it in rain. Like, I'm not being funny, but this technology is incredibly invasive. Where is the they say about being like your body autonomy? That went out the window with COVID jabs. Where is the gap between I'm not allowing you to do anything to my physical body? You want to put something on my body that will go in my body? They are breaking down these boundaries of your I don't agree with this at all. Facial recognition is one thing for football hooligans. Get that. Of course I get that. But spray painting them, and then you're deciding what the hooliganism action is. I mean, remember, we've just said Palestine Action are now terrorists. What were you going to have to do to be a football hooligan? Fart in the wrong direction? It's just, it becomes absurd in the hands of these lunatics. And I would say that be aware that spray paint can be used to store data in. DNA can be stored. Data can be stored in DNA as well, but data can also be stored in paint. They've proven that in 2019. So how far advanced that is now? And then in the dumb bases, I think this has been done a long time ago. I think that gets done and then they try and roll it out as a commercial product later on to make money out of it as well and get people used to it. But I think this has been done a long time ago. I think we're a bit foolish to think that Palantir is building the database now and hasn't built it already.
So I tried to look into the organisation behind this, and I could find very little information. But I'll go away and obviously keep doing that. But it's a fair point that you make actually in terms of hooliganism. That you think of football hooliganism, and you think of like scrapping in the street and and all that kind of stuff. But it's not necessarily that. Like, things have changed massively. Like now, if you run on the pitch, so say there's a goal and you run on the pitch, you're ejected from the stadium immediately. So if you're ejected from the stadium, are you not considered to be a football hooligan? Are you not going to be given the mark of the beast? And then I think back and I think, well, actually, I remember Marco Gabbiadini, right? That's the name. He played for Derby County and he scored the winning goal in a 1-0 win. And I was trying to think how old I was. I was probably about 9. And I ran on the pitch and I hugged him, right? He followed me on Twitter recently. It blew my mind. It's funny, isn't it, how life goes full circle. Anyway, I ran on the pitch and hugged him. And he hugged me back and other fans jumped in, right? Amazing moment. As a kid, I was literally like, oh, my God. Well, I'd be kicked out of the stadium and a hooligan now. So it's funny, isn't it? Like you made the point there, Rich. Things move on and things change. And what was okay and actually quite cute yesterday is suddenly now an act of hooliganism or an act of terror or whatever. They can change the rules. And we try and say this to people all the time in terms of freedom of speech and speaking out for people. You don't have to agree with those people. I'm not on the side of football hooligans, far from it.
No. But
if you allow those people to be used to bring something in, what is being brought in will be used against you in the future.
Absolutely.
It's just how it works. It's always the way. Like I said, they're not going to say we're going to spray paint troublesome toddlers because you would protest against that. So they're going to go, oh, okay, we're going to start with football hooligans because no one's got any time for them. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, okay, well then where do we go from here? That's the point, isn't it? Anyway, Rich, I'm off to go and get myself spray painted. You're back tomorrow on your own with Trending, and then I'll be back with Jay on Monday. As always, it's brought to you in association with Iconic Coffee, which, again, I've let it go cold. You can purchase at shop.iconic.com and use the code Trending. You get 10% off. Rich, mate, take care of yourself. Have a wonderful weekend, and everyone at home as well, have a wonderful weekend. It's not all bad. It's supposed to be nice and warm in the UK this weekend as well, so lots of human-caused climate change for us to enjoy.
Oh, that'd be lovely. See you soon.
Take care, mate. Bye.